So let us discuss first, what does any war do? War is a way of introducing sudden social change. It is social, political, economic. One country dominating. Okay. And there is a challenger. And suppose this one C2. If the C2 wins the war against C1, then C2 will have more influence. C2's political systems, economic systems can dominate over C1. Okay. So this is how political systems change, ideas evolve. And if the war is at a world level, then the world itself changes. Okay. So you can take it as a spread of certain ideologies, political and economic systems through force in a way of survival of the fittest. Okay. Now coming to World War I. There are many issues, debates in terms of what are the causes of World War I. What are the causes? Okay. I think the first cause, maybe we can say, it is simply ignorance. Why is it so? Let me tell you, no country ever predicted the consequences of war of this nature and this scale. Many soldiers went to war in a celebratory mode. Okay. But the war was so devastating that the countries were shocked by the scale of it. 10 million died, 20 million crippled. Huge parts of the world is involved. So the scale, the consequences of technology, the level of mobilization and ruthlessness with which people fought, all this and the consequences of these things were really shocking. In the end, it appeared the people who started did not gain, and the countries which defended also didn't gain. So participants of the war lost very heavily. So it means they didn't really expect what was to come. They were still in the days of old traditional wars with much less casualties. Okay. Why did this war cause so much of destruction? Because the world changed due to certain very important things. Colonialism. Okay. Colonialism meant certain industrial countries, certain European countries went all over the world, okay, dominating their economic systems, and they were powerful, and colonies were involved. And then nationalism. Before nationalism, people were organized in kingdoms, empires, or states. The difference between nations and this is that these were simply territorial organizations with one common army, territories with common army. But people do not have sense of oneness in a state or a kingdom. But a nation is something different, a sense of oneness, which means easier mobilization, fanatical mobilization became possible, and level of technology. Okay, so these new things, these were the new things that brought a completely different outcome. But can there be one explanation, or a different question is, did any one country cause this? Did any one country cause this? Many countries at the end of the war blamed Germany for this. They held Germany solely responsible for starting the war. Okay. Historians now think whether Germany is solely responsible or not may be debatable, but Germany played a very, very significant role in starting the war. There is no doubt about it. May not be fully responsible, but then it was majorly responsible under the leadership of Kaiser, William II. Okay. But historians ask, okay, if Kaiser's Germany did not start in 1914, war 1914, maybe later would somebody start the war? That is to say, was war inevitable? Okay. Or only Kaiser was responsible, or Germany was responsible? Okay. But why do historians ask this question? Because some believe there are certain structural reasons for why war happens. Okay. There is one very important concept that explains World War I, which is given by one political scientist by name Graham Allison. Graham Allison. Graham Allison says, he gives a concept called Thucydides trap. Thucydides trap. Thucydides trap is when there is a power which is ruling and there is some other power which is emerging. So this is established and settled power or ruling power, and this is emerging. There is always a possibility of conflict between the two, between the ruler and the challenger. Ruler represents a particular world order which he is ruling. So ruler wants a status quo, whereas a challenger wants to undermine the status quo and reorganize the world to its favor. And at that time, Britain was the ruler and Germany was the challenger. Both are European powers. So Britain had the world order under its control. But Germany did not like it. Germany came quite recently and it wanted to undermine the system or turn it to its favor. So when the ruler is going to be challenged by a newcomer or emerging power, then the war is likely. For example, the war between USA and China now. USA and China also represents Thucydides trap. Why is it called Thucydides trap? Because Thucydides, one Greek thinker, while explaining Peloponnesian War, he said it was the rise of Athens and the fear it generated in Sparta that made war inevitable. Sparta was established power and Athens was rising. Okay. So it can be that established power wants to crush the rising power, or the rising power may seek an opportunity for war. Established power wants to retain and the rising power wants to restructure to its favor. So if Thucydides trap is true, then Germany would challenge Britain at one time. Okay, Britain was established and Germany was the new challenger. Okay, so next we will look into how Germany came into this position. Okay, now ask me some questions. I made some general observations about war and Thucydides trap and the world situation.
Sir, this is this is against the Sir, by that time the liberalism was also famous. Germany could have cooperated with Britain. Why that did not happen?
Okay, maybe I'll write down here and then you can list all the questions. Why Germany did not cooperate? Why would it? Okay. Why would Germany cooperate?
No, as per the liberal tendency.
It won't. Okay, next, you can ask other questions. I'll answer all of them at one time.
Sir, going by that, Germany is more so against France and Russia other than Britain. Britain has it came to the war that when Belgium something Germany went attacked Belgium. So it is unwanted interference.
You are asking why Britain, when Germany was had enmity with other countries like France, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Oh, so it means how are other countries involved? Next.
Yes, not only with Britain, I think
other countries.
It is a mixture.
Okay. Next.
And insecurity, you have said that this was insecure. Why Germany has to be insecure?
It is not Germany insecure. Germany is the challenger.
The challenger.
Challenger. Emerging power. Okay, next.
Sir, if Germany was so emerging that Britain, why not Britain could recognize that it could beat Britain? Why not let Germany rise peacefully? or Britain themselves go and
So
cooperate with.
basically, what you are asking is that what is Britain's strategy in this, isn't it?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
What is Britain's strategy? What is Britain's strategy, and how are other countries involved in this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. And then how did Germany rise? Basically, you just said about Britain and Germany, but how about other countries? How are other countries involved in this? Isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Anything else? Next, we go to the next step. Any other question? Okay, we'll go to. But tell me, do you think war serves such a purpose, as I said?
They did not know.
Purpose of social change? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. War served this.
War serves such a purpose. Okay. So now let us look at Germany, how it came to be like this. Number one, first of all, how Britain emerged as such a power? Britain underwent glorious revolution, which we'll be doing later, democratic revolution, and it underwent industrial revolution. Okay, and then colonialism. So because of these political and economic changes, it was more powerful than France. Britain was competing with France and not Germany. When you read modern India, you see the competition between British and the French. And finally, the British won. Why did the British win? Because of the superior political organization at home, democracy. So France was an important power in Europe. And Britain, though part of Europe, though it is isolated, developed navy. So Britain is isolated from the rest of the Europe. And where was Germany before? The Germany before was not one nation when all these developments were going on. This is the story of Germany. Germans spread across 16 kingdoms and city-states. And there was sectarian conflict. Sectarian conflict was Protestant and Catholics. And opposition from Austria for German unification. Austria consisted of Germans. So Austrian opposition and then the sectarian conflict prevented Germany from becoming one nation. But the man responsible for German unification was Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. And the king whom he served was William I, ruled between 1861 to 1888. So the king and the chancellor, through a series of political moves, created a unified Germany. For example, they went for a war with Austria in 1866. Okay. And Germany, at the time called Prussia, won the war. But instead of taking the territories of Austria, it said, don't intervene now, interfere in our affairs. So one war against Austria, forcing it not to intervene. This is one. And next, another war with France in 1871. And do you know, these wars contributed to German unification because Bismarck felt that the Germans should feel that they were fighting for a right cause. In fact, Bismarck made it sure that it was Austria who invaded, it was France which invaded, and Germans were going to suffer. And so he created that nationalist sentiment, and finally, unification took place. Okay. And then Germans were the most numerous nation in Europe. Okay. So it was a recently carved out nation. As I said, the difference between nation and a kingdom is that kingdom doesn't have that sense of loyalty to the territory, but nation has. So it can be a great force for good or force for evil, because mass mobilization takes place. But Bismarck is a very, very intelligent realist. What all he wanted was a powerful Germany. He didn't think he would take on the world. He thought in terms of France, how to weaken the France. And he took these areas, Alsace and Lorraine, which are the sources of iron and coal, to France after this 1871 war. Okay. So in the European context, Thucydides' trap is between France and Germany. France was the power and Germany was the challenger. Germany became a nation, but Bismarck knew that the France was too powerful. And so these areas were taken from France. And then he had alliance with Austria. Austria was a huge empire. And then he was in good terms with Russia. And then he also convinced Italy, which also became a nation recently, that Italy should be on Germany's side. So Bismarck simply balanced Germany vis-a-vis France and quite content with it. Okay. Sardar Patel is called Bismarck of India. Why? Because Patel is said to have contributed to unification. So this is called realism. He just managed to create and a strong one, and there it ended. He did not want to take on the world. But then William I's son came to the throne after 1888. And this man, Kaiser William II, was a very reckless person. So he didn't like Bismarck's power. He himself wanted to decide things. He was actually a very insecure man. He had handicap in his childhood, and he wanted to compensate, believed in militarism, pretensions. and he wanted to rule himself. So in 1890, he dismissed Bismarck. And then he went on a reckless policy. He didn't understand how balance of power was maintained under Bismarck's tenureship. He disturbed it. How did he disturb? He antagonized Russia. That was one. And then he started developing navy because he wanted to challenge Britain. Challenging Britain is a different thing. So challenging France is one step, one Thucydides trap, but challenging Britain is a different step. But Kaiser wanted to challenge Britain. And of course, Britain knew that Kaiser's Germany would challenge. Any ruling power will always pay attention to the challengers, like America is paying attention to China. Any ruling power wants challenger to get caught with battles with nearby regions. America wants China to be trapped with war with other countries rather than challenge US. And US may assist with China's rivals in trapping China here itself in Asia rather than challenge US. So Britain was watching Kaiser's Germany. This is not Bismarck's Germany. This is more serious. So Bismarck created a strong Germany, and now Kaiser wants it to be a global power. So now what would Britain do? Britain should find Germany as the main enemy rather than France. And so it entered an alliance with France and Russia. Okay, Russia had been traditional enemy, France had been traditional enemy, but it entered alliances with France and Russia, keeping Germany in mind. And Germany missed this in the sense that Kaiser overestimated his power. So this is how alliances were formed. 1882, the Triple Alliance of Germany, Austria, and Italy. 1882, under Bismarck's time. Next, Kaiser came. Russia-France alliance formed. Disturbance of the balance of power. 1904, Anglo-French entente. They were traditional rivalries, but they became friends. Anglo-Russian, traditional rivalries, they became friends. Which means by 1907, Germany and its friends Austria, which are called Central Powers, versus Russia, France, and Britain. America is not here. America is quite far away. So it means the challenger versus the ruling power, and ruling power took all the precaution. Should it take precaution or leave it to Europe? It can't. It can't leave it to Europe, because if Germany wins against France and Russia, the next challenge would be Britain only. So this is how contest between two countries will drag other countries in this game. So finally, this is the power balance. Okay. Okay. Okay, now you ask me questions. Do you understand how now you have a bigger picture, right? How so many other countries came into. Who asked that question?
Yes, sir.
Naveen, where is he?
Yes, sir.
Naveen. So does this clarify your?
Yes, sir. It clarifies.
Hmm.
I have one doubt. Which was the
No,
dominant?
Just one second. Do you see how other countries get into around Thucydides trap?
Yes, sir.
For example, how is India involved in this trap? Contest between USA and China. Okay, in a China-India conflict, USA wants to support India, so that conflict will be here and China will be tied down. It is like that.
Sir, can we see the same trap between center-state relationship?
Center-state relations.
Do
No,
center expects?
No. This trap is a purely across international relations. Like if it is applicable at other places, we'll see it later. But now this is between nations.
Fine, sir.
Okay. So Gayatri, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Karim, you wanted to ask something?
No, sir. It was very clear, especially the perspective and how the reasoning was carried out. Got a very clear picture.
Okay. And do you see how individuals play a role here? Bismarck was very sensible and responsible person, but Kaiser was not. Okay. So that is why some people think you will be powerful and remain powerful, and you won't try to expand. That is one theory. Another theory is that no, you want to expand. That is another theory.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Okay, so basically Germany outstretched. Germany wanted to do something which it didn't have the capacity to do. Take on the world power. Okay, Naveen.
Sir, realism believes in balance of power.
Yes, exactly. This is all about realism only.
Yeah, but here Kaiser is trying to disturb the balance of power. So do you call him a realist again?
Of course he's realist. All the people involved in this are realists only, whether their calculations are right or wrong.
Okay, sir.
Okay. It's all about power, balance of power. And if you are disturbing, can you successfully disturb? That's all. So what was the scheme of disturbance? Bismarck had one level of disturbance. Kaiser, another level. Bismarck simply at the local level, just vis-a-vis others. But Kaiser, global. Tell me, from this, should Britain intervene at very early, or should it watch?
Should intervene.
It should intervene. Nobody found a solution to these problems, really. Even now, these are the same problems. China versus US. So, in this game, people calculate. Okay, now we'll go to the specific set of events.
Sir, I have a question.
Please, you can.
Sir, if you just talked about US and China, and you said US want China to get entangled with India so that it can easily dominate.
Exactly. So, in the same way, China wants India to be entangled with Pakistan, so that India will not have time to challenge China. Remember, this trap works at any place, challenger versus the ruler.
But then, sir, here we can see that China itself is challenging India, not that it wants.
You can't say China challenging India. It would be offending China. China is not challenging India. Nor India is trying to challenge China. China is challenging US. That is the game. Challenge means you are somebody above and I am challenging. No, India is much below. India wants to say we are Chinese enemies. China thinks you are an enemy to Pakistan and you are a nuisance to us. So India is not challenged to China.
So are you saying in China is troubling India, let's say?
Troubling India is different from challenging. Challenging
Right.
means you are above and I am challenging your position.
Right.
It is in that sense we are discussing this, the word challenge.
So
Britain is not trying to challenge Germany. Germany is challenging Britain. Britain wants to retain and Germany wants to challenge. Emerging power, challenger is one. Ruling power is another. These are the two concepts. For example, USA is not challenging China. USA is there. China wants to challenge. I mean, is the concept clear, Sunil?
Sir, China is troubling India to tell US that I can do anything. Is it like that?
It is not to tell US. It is not to tell US. It is to China wants to get control over Asia. It is like that. See, challenge, the concept of challenger is somebody above.
Yes, but so US is above China, right? US is above China, right? So I'm saying China is troubling India to tell USA that I can do anything, and indirectly challenging USA.
Not like that. Why should it do? Why would China wants to be regional? But leave this example. It is not like that. Okay.
Sir, then why not India come into terms with China?
Okay, we will discuss the China issue later.
Okay.
But let us discuss the concept of Thucydides trap. Okay. Okay, maybe my account of India-China is different, but I thought I'm not making any unorthodox observations. The China is challenging the US. This is the Thucydides trap. Okay. USA wants China to be bogged down in this so that it cannot challenge. It is like that. Okay, we'll discuss it other things. So come to this world level. Fine. Karimullah?
Yes, sir. Sir, why did France and Russia felt that they were weak against Germany before they came into alliance with Britain?
Exactly. Germany became so powerful that they could win any country on its own.
Okay.
Okay. This is another thing in international relations. When you can't win, you form alliances. Okay. Now, come to specific set of events. You can keep asking if you have. Okay. Come to specific set of questions. Events.
Sir, was there trade also in between Germany and Britain that time?
Yes, there was trade.
So still they
exactly.
Still it was challenging.
Yes. Okay. Now, specific set of events.
So can we say that economy takes a backseat when power is there?
Sure. You can ask this. Sure. Okay. Now, how the world got involved. It all started with a small event. Remember, event is almost like an excuse. You cannot say this is the cause of World War I. Nobody calls it as a cause. The heir to Austrian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist. So, Austria-Hungary was an empire. Okay. Austria-Hungary was an empire like this. We see what an empire means. Empire consists of many nationalities. See, look. Germans, Hungarians, Czechs, Slovaks, Poles, Ukrainians, Italians. An empire doesn't have homogeneity. Okay. That is why it is found nations tend to be much more powerful than empires. And within this empire, there are many Germans. Austria, many Germans at many places. Okay. And this assassination took place in this empire in Sarajevo. This is the place. Sarajevo. By a Serbian nationalist. So some people who nationalism here means they want to be a part of Serbia. Okay. It is what we call today a terrorist act, but supported by Serbia. But why should this lead to World War I? Austria thought of teaching a lesson to Serbia. But how should a conflict between Austria and Serbia lead to a major conflict? Because Austria was supported by Germany, Austria and Germany. And if there is a war between Austria and Serbia, to Serbia's defense, Russia will come, may come. Okay. So Germany, planning a war, wanted to use this occasion. It gave a blank check to Austria that you go for war and go for war immediately. Two things, go and do it immediately. Why immediately? Before Russians come. Okay. So it means alliances were formed before Germany, Austria and Italy, but later Italy joins, doesn't belong to this. And then Russia, France, United Kingdom. So this and this. And Russia came in defense of Serbia. And in defense of, against Germany. When Germany wanted to invade France through Belgium. Belgium was a neutral country whose neutrality was assured by Britain. So Germany wanted to invade France through Belgium. It asked Belgium to give permission for troop movement. Belgium refused. And Germans wanted to go that way, and they were involved in many atrocities during that process. And Britain entered the war. So Britain, France, Russia on one side, and these powers, central powers, are on the other side. These are called central powers, and others are called allies or entente. So this is what happened. Austria, Russia. Next, Austria, Germany, Russia, France, Britain. But Italy joined this side despite its alliance. So these are called central powers versus entente or allied. In 1917, Russia was out of the war. Why it was, we will discuss later. And US entered war. Why did US enter? Germany was sinking certain American submarines. So US also entered. US even otherwise was sympathetic to central powers, but not directly involved in European conflict. So it entered in 1970. So this is how the whole world got involved. Wars took place in what is called Western Front. Western Front is France side, Eastern Front, Russian side, and Italy side, another front. And in Africa, at the end of which two empires disintegrated. One empire was Ottoman Empire. This was Ottoman Empire. So many nations. And Austria-Hungary. Okay. Okay, we'll discuss. Now tell me, what questions do you have?
Sir, could you please tell about the central and allied powers once again, so the country names?
Central powers are those which are in the center, if you go by the map. Austria, Germany, Austria-Hungary and Germany. Okay. And other powers are allied powers or entente, located at different sides, like Russia, one side, France, another side, Britain, and later America. These are called central powers and they are called allied powers.
In US, why it entered, sir? You gave two reasons.
Because Germany was involved in sinking submarines. US was otherwise sympathetic to democratic countries like France and Britain. Okay. There is more affiliation between Britain and US. Woodrow Wilson was the president.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this is the specific set of events.
Sir, so you're saying that America was on Ali's side because of ideological basis, democracy.
Ideological and also kinship. They are closer to Britain, right? Democracy closer to Britain. And the other countries' central powers are non-democratic. It is like that.
Yes, sir. And also, did Germany provoke Americans by sinking the ship intentionally?
Exactly. Germans provoked Americans. Why America is provoked is Americans don't understand. The world doesn't understand. In World War II, Japan provoked, and in World War I, Germany provoked. And so it enters in the late stage and settles the war.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, I think US supplies some food material, something. It was
Supplying. Please unmute, Srikar.
Yeah, sir. As you said, that US was sympathetic to the democratic powers, the anthem powers. So I have heard that it supplies some war ammunition, like food material, something for the these countries indirectly. So that is the reason Germans attacked the NAV fleet.
Okay, could be. I don't know. Could be. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So what we'll go to after the war situation, what is called a treaty and how Germany is handled. But tell me, are the causes clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You understand it like a story, right? Not the causes of World War I, 2, 3, 4 memorizing part.
Yes, sir. Really interesting.
Also able to predict
What is that?
this country. Also able to predict, sir. If
Exactly, you are able to predict.
If at all World War III happens, and
yes,
we know wars have been obsolete.
Exactly. That is how we should read history, to be able to predict the present and the future.
Only if the leader is, if somebody like William Kaiser, Bismarck is fine. If somebody like Kaiser comes, World War III, the whole world will be wiped.
Yes. So basically, Germany wanted to challenge the world without being adequately powerful. That is the mistake. And also Germany historians say didn't know what are the true sources of war. Germany was progressing industrially. It could have progressed. And we will you just ask some questions, we'll discuss anything else. So we'll discuss about why people go for war. Is it like that? I mean, timing. Timing. Please continue. You can raise some questions.
Sir, so what is the role of economy in realism, sir? Realism is basically insecurity and then human egoism. So like how these countries which are involved in World War are driven by economic motives.
Fine. Next.
Then do people really wait for trigger moments?
Thank you. Actually, that's what I meant by timing. Next.
War as an excuse to deviate attention, domestic issues, just to regain them.
Domestic issues. Please raise questions like this, please. How does the economy matter? Timing, domestic issues.
Sir, what is the role of individual nations?
Exactly.
In acting against the strategic plans of key players?
What is the role of individual nations?
In acting against the plans of key players. For example, there is Germany. Germany plans that it wants to make an alliance with A or B or C, and then any of A or B or C goes with the opposite party. How this acts against this situation plays a role?
Means?
For example, sir, in US-China war, if China plans that India will be on its side, but India goes by US side. How does this trigger the war? Play a role?
That's true. I mean, alliance. There is a competition for alliances.
Yes.
There is a competition. That's true. I mean, how do alliances get formed?
Yes, sir. How strategic plans play a role in making alliances?
Yes. How alliances?
So where do you place this all discussion around disarmament and all? I see it as only drama.
We'll look into this disarmament. We'll look into that treaty. Next.
Can nations remain neutral in a war?
Can
nations remain neutral in
kind of war? Alliances, neutrality.
The role of arbiter. I mean, who should? Yeah.
We will cover some questions in this. See, first thing is, what is the structure? The structure here is within Europe, France versus Britain. Sorry, France versus Germany. And outside, Britain versus Germany. So nations give importance to structure. France and Germany have to be on the opposite sides. War is not possible otherwise. So how many Germany will get? How many France will get? Then what are the terms? So it is on that alliances will be formed. And next, Britain and Germany have to be on the opposite side. And so Britain makes friendship with France. Okay. So there are some countries which are primary to the conflict, and after that they add alliances, and some want to be neutral. Okay, so there is a something like primary. China and US cannot be on one side like that. Okay, we'll not get into this. So there is a primary thing, and then after that get added. That's about alliances, and some want to be neutral. That's it. Next thing is timing. Why do countries want war at that time? Why did Germany want war at that time? Because timing is important for the victory. Okay. It felt that Russia was going to be more powerful. Major modernization plan. And so it had to be settled before that. So nations calculate, if the war is going to be likely in a distant future anyway, let us prepare and let us take time advantage. So remember, some countries want war to settle things, but some countries don't want. Okay. Those who have an edge don't want war. Those who do not, who want to redo, change the order, want war. So structurally, there are some reasons for war. And given the structure, nations decide on the timing. So Germany wanted war at the time because Germany thought it would win at the time. And Britain went to war at that time, not simply to protect Belgium. That may be one reason. But Britain knew one day it had to go to war. Why? Because if it didn't go, Germany would win the Europe. Next step would be Britain. So why should Britain wait till that point to make Germany more powerful? So alliances are formed around the primary conflict, but timing depends upon their calculation on their probability of success. Okay, so structure determines the likelihood of war, and nations calculate if the war is anyway going to be, when should we have it? And now come to economy. All the theories so far have said that between defense and economy, defense seemed to be a more important role. Economy may be more important, maybe one day, but till now, domination is settled through war. Okay, so there is a trade with Germany, economic interdependence is there. Economic interdependence is a negative factor, but it doesn't seem to cancel out need for a war if the nations want to go for a different reason, if they want to settle power issue. Okay, that's about economy. And next, domestic issues. And one reason why Germany was involved in war was, number one, led by Kaiser, and number two, Germany's leadership was under threat by socialism and democracy. Socialist movement was powerful. And then leadership wanted to deviate from a domestic issue and wanted to go for a war, to mobilize people and become powerful. But it failed. Okay. And you can see in all this process, some countries are modernized. Germany was not modernized politically the way Britain and US and France were. You can see Germany was not completely up to date with the theoretical understanding that modern road to domination is not military, it's about economy. It's about economy. So probably had it waited longer, became much more economically powerful, integrated, it would have been better. Okay. But on the whole, we can see that nations didn't know much about the importance of trade and role of economy. Okay. Role of economy would play a much more important role in the thinking of the countries soon. Okay, economy is increasingly playing a more important role. Okay, so these are the issues. Okay, any questions?
Sir? Sir, you mentioned that Britain didn't wanted to wait for Germany to get powerful. But didn't it thought that by getting involved in the war, Germany would get weak economically, the way we had just talked about that US want China to get involved in the Asia itself, and so that aren't we talking about two counter examples?
Like?
Sir, you just said that Britain wanted Germany to didn't want to wait so that Germany doesn't become powerful.
So it wanted to defeat itself, right, especially when it was fighting with other countries.
But then you, some time back, you just said that the US wants China to get involved in Asia itself so that it is weak there itself.
US wants
China to get involved in Asia itself so that it is weak.
Okay.
So I'm saying at one point we are saying that Britain wants Germany to wait, get involved immediately, and other we are saying that
because that's true, that's fine, because Germany will not get bogged down by France. Germany will easily win and soon challenge.
So still, a war will be a loss to a country even if it wins, right?
War
will be a loss to a country even if it wins.
But it will gain something. You mean to say countries want see the moment then it will gain something from the moment that Germany wins France and other countries, it will soon challenge after some time, not immediately, Britain. It will lose something, but it will gain soon.
Sir, doesn't war devastate country for a long time? Like,
it may take some time, but not forever.
But then by the time it is weak, then the countries can easily dominate the other country because it is the former is weak now.
No, what are you saying?
Sir, let's say there is a Britain, there is a Germany, and there is a France. So the logic you just talked about is that Britain didn't want it to wait.
Germany beats France and then other countries. So takes time, becomes powerful enough.
But sir, we just talked about timing. Then why should Britain wait when Germany itself is weak that time?
Because Germany will take some time and be strong and then attack Britain. By then Britain will not have friends. Now there are some countries that are giving fight to Germany. So when there are countries which are giving fight to Germany, you join the fight on the side of others instead of waiting for Germany to win everything. If you think both of them are going to destroy themselves and I will wait, that is a different calculation.
Okay, that time they couldn't think like that.
They didn't think like that. I don't think that was possible. People would die, but nations won't destroy themselves. That's what World War I is. If both of them are involved in a nuclear clash, then maybe that would be a better thing. It's not like that. So the winner gains a lot. It may lose some people, but winner gains. So Germany, had it won, it would have been more powerful. And it would have challenged.
Sir, gaining means here in terms of resources.
In terms of resources. That's all.
Sir.
Just,
sir,
no, just let us think of Sunil. Okay.
Fine, sir. Fine.
They are not thinking in terms of how many Germans will be killed and so what happens. It is not like that. Thinking of nations is different. So 1 million will die, but we will kill many more people and we will control them. Their industries and their land will be bigger army, and then we will invade somebody. It is like that. So why wait till Germany becomes powerful? That would be Britain's thinking.
But does that hold true now also in the current time? That logic.
But that is how we still think. We'll see whether that thinking is right or wrong. India wants to win against Pakistan, China wants to win against other countries, but now they are more apprehensive of wars, but at that time there was not so. Maybe that's why I'm paying attention to your question is that wars can be mutually destructive, can be damaging, but maybe that seems to be more true now rather than at that time. So if one country wins another country, then that country will maybe a challenger is the point. But I tell you, Sunil, what you are thinking, I mean, there is a lot of merit in it. Because USA won in Iraq and then Afghanistan, but who is the loser? USA is the loser and China is the gainer. So China did not go on the side of Afghanistan, did not go on the side of Iraq. Okay. So there may be some truth in what you are saying, but that was not the way they thought at that time. So under certain circumstances, let them fight, both of them will destroy themselves. And then if anybody remains, I will say later, that can be a game. But they didn't think so at that time. Okay. So now modern warfare is, modern strategy is, one realist thinking is saying that make some other country go to a war and then get bogged down. You win, don't do anything. Let China go to Afghanistan. So let USA go to other countries and it will lose. It may win, even if it wins, it is at a great cost. So this I think is modern thinking. But it was not thought like that at that time. Okay, next, any other question? Now we'll come back to peace.
Sir, you said that they did not know the role of trade and economy than military.
As much as they know now. But even now, power is more important than trade and economy. We'll look into that. Next. Navi?
Fine, sir.
Next, last topic. We'll go to the treaty. Okay, there is one. Okay. See, after the war, what should be done was an issue because it was Germany against many powerful countries. So after US entered the war, it was a clearly unequal fight, and Germany lost. Okay. So what to do next is an issue. Here, there are two approaches. Number one, punish Germany. Number two, don't punish, but think of how to handle or how to create a war-free world. War-free world. Woodrow Wilson, who is called now an idealist, proposed certain things as a way of creating a better world. Okay. He said, we should have a peace without victors. That is, all the countries are going to be treated fairly in a way that the world is better off and we don't have to face another world war. That was Woodrow Wilson's proposal. He was a political science professor and American president at the time. And he proposed 14 points, Woodrow Wilson's 14 points. Okay. Essentially, these points do not say how to punish Germany or anything like that, or to find somebody responsible for the war, but rather create a better world in which these wars are not likely to happen. Okay. So this is a statement on idealism for which he got Nobel Peace Prize in 1919. Okay. These 14 points are made on January 8th, 1918. And it is not just a president's speech. It is a result of research work done by 150 academics. 150 academics. Okay. The things he said, no secret treaties. Okay. What two countries sign should be open. Freedom of navigation on the seas. Removal of economic barriers. Reduction in armaments. Okay. And next he said, these are global. Next he said, all colonial disputes should be settled taking people into account. Because conflict between the European countries was because of colonial issues, disputes at other places. And Woodrow Wilson said those disputes have to be settled taking people into account. This is a bold statement, which means people who are under colonies have to be given importance. Okay. But he didn't say that there should be decolonization. Okay. He only said colonial disputes can be settled taking into account local people. Okay. Next he said 6, 7, 8, 11. Restoration of invaded territories. If a country invaded, it should restore, and compensation for damage. It is not only Germany to compensate, but compensation by any country. And independent Poland giving it Polish populated areas. Polish populated areas to be given to Poland. Poland will be an important and big country. Woodrow Wilson was trying to give importance to nationalities. But of course, he was not referring to nationalities in Asia and Africa and their right to self-determination. No. But he was talking about nationalities in Europe that try to give them power or try to make them one boundary at certain places where it is possible. Provision 9 refers to Italy, 10 Austria-Hungary, and 12 Ottoman Empire. Okay. And 14 League of Nations, creation of the League of Nations. So he believed just world is a solution to this problem of war. Okay. Coming from an American president, this is a very rare thing. But of course, his position enabled him because he is not involved in this European dispute. So America could maintain such an idealistic position because it was not involved directly in the conflict. Okay. And of course, Woodrow Wilson by nature was an idealist. He comes closer to philosopher king. Okay. But when it came to implementation, it didn't turn out to be like this because other leaders did not agree to this. The leaders wanted revenge. They wanted to punish Germany as much as possible. Because during the wartime, they promised many things to their people. And in the end, if you just let Germany go like that, just like that, what would they tell their population? Because many people were killed and they should feel that they lost their lives for a cause. And so, Treaty of Versailles in 1919 made these proposals. It said full responsibility to war, Germany. It is true, it has more responsibility, but how can Germany only be held full responsibility? Okay. Sure, if Germany won, maybe somebody else would be held responsibility. They would be asked to pay compensation. But Germany was held responsible, and $33 billion it was asked to pay, which is 12 times at 2012 prices. And then Alsace and Lorraine back to France. These are the territorial changes. This back to France, which it got in 1871. And 10% of land and its population to Poland and Czechoslovakia. And all overseas positions gone. This is about land related provisions. And next, size of army not to cross 1 lakh. No submarines, no air force. And Rhineland, which was bordering France, not to be militarized. And then Austria forbidden to join Germany. See, because after the collapse of the empires, populations were getting allotted to different nations. So it is in that context, Austria forbidden to join Germany. And millions of Germans came under Czech rule. And Polish border also done similarly. So basically, they didn't want to give more people and land to Germany. And people who would want to be a part of Germany also were denied. Okay, and Germany lost population and territory and compensation.
So here it shows that it is fully Germany itself was held responsible. Right?
Exactly.
So, but in the initial, in the beginning of this class, you mentioned that Germany might not be completely responsible. So, on what factors we can say that Germany cannot be 100% responsible, sir?
Because it is a part of power politics, right? Nations want to enhance power. So I think it was held to become fully responsible because it lost the war. The victors are in a position to say whatever they wanted. Isn't it so?
Yes. But it is initiated by Germany itself, right?
That is true. There is no doubt it initiated. There is no doubt. But even if you hold completely, fully responsible, does it mean you go for all kinds of things like this? We don't know.
Yes, sir. Got it.
So what do you say about that 14 points? Okay, we'll try again. So any doubts on 14
points? It is more
points?
of the balanced view.
Balanced view or very idealistic view?
Idealistic.
For example, secret treaties. How can you avoid secret treaties? Isn't it? When countries want to take revenge after so much of suffering.
What Woodrow Wilson has set out is an ideal, but that he decided at least in that direction we should work. Some effort setting the ideal itself is an effort, no sir.
Okay.
How much it is realized is a different thing.
Okay.
But to speak in that way, somebody has to speak that way. Instead of like when everybody wants revenge, somebody also should talk about peace.
That is true. Instead of everybody talking revenge, somebody should talk, and that's what he did. And he had power. Okay, any other question?
Sir, the nation states become a precondition for the World War.
Nation states, where else do you see the nationalism? For example, Serbian nationalism is one, Germany nationalism is one, isn't it? Okay, so war-free world, idealism, these are the points. But finally, okay, now come to what happened. We know that World War II happened. Most historians think that this treaty is the reason for World War II. Okay, why? Two arguments. Some say it is unfair. Okay, unfair, it only antagonized Germany and provoked more nationalism and finally responsible for the rise of Hitler. Okay, so it was the unfairness of treaty which is responsible for Hitler and World War II. Okay, you know, Woodrow Wilson said within our own generation there would be World War II. And Keynes said within 20 years there is going to be World War II. He said next war would come in 20 years, exactly 1939. He attended as a delegate of the British Treasury. You know, he was not a famous economist by that time. He became famous during this time and more famous later. He attended as a delegate and he did not like the treaty. He basically looked at the world from economic point of view. He felt that the solution is solution to war is Europe cannot prosper without an equitable, effective, and integrated economic system. He thought of economic solution, an interdependent, integrated Europe. Not Germany to be punished and pay the war reparations. Keynes felt that approach itself is wrong. If other countries have to grow, Germany also has to prosper. All will grow in an interdependent way. So don't think of punishing Germany. And he mathematically calculated, because he was an economist, that amount of compensation would make people suffer a lot. And then he said, amazingly, if a man suffers beyond a point, he said, he listens to whatever instruction of hope, illusion, or revenge is carried to them in the air. This is what Hitler did. This, in the book he wrote in 1919, The Economic Consequences of Peace. He was critical of everybody, including Woodrow Wilson. On Wilson, he said, never had a philosopher held such weapons wherewith to bind the princes of this world. Woodrow Wilson had that power. And then the collapse of the president has been this one of the decisive moral events of history. He blamed everybody, but because Woodrow Wilson was in a position to do something positive and he failed, he blamed Woodrow Wilson also. Keynes wanted economic prosperity of Europe, not how to punish Germany. Germany should be prosperous, and then out of that prosperity only others also would prosper. This is a plan which would crush Germany so much that it would go to revenge. It is unfair, immoral, and foolish, moreover. That was Keynes' point of view. Woodrow Wilson also thought, and many people thought this was unfair. But there were others who would think that if you want to crush Germany, that was not the way to crush. You divide Germany into parts. So do you know what happened after the Second World War was the thing that Keynes suggested in 1919. So European reconstruction, Marshall Plan. And next, Woodrow Wilson idea of League of Nations became United Nations. And then some institutions were developed, IMF, World Bank, to facilitate economic cooperation. And then to punish Germany, it was not economically punished, simply they divided Germany. So one way is to think that is unfair, and so Germany rose. And another way is it was not harmed enough. Okay. So after World War II, they took these things as a solution. Okay. And World War III did not happen. Okay. So this is what happened. And coming to empires, this is one small development. Both the empires disintegrated. Austria-Hungary Empire became Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Yugoslavia. Parts of them went to. Turkey's empire dissolved, and core area became Mustafa Kemal's military, came under Kemal's military dictatorship. And then Jordan, Palestine, Iraq, Syria, Arabia, and Lebanon became French or British protectorates. They called it protectorates, but more or less they were colonies. Okay, so more nations came to be created after this. But on the whole, the net impact of World War I, you can say, man became more free. Why? Because empires became nations. And nations meant more freedom. And Europe became weak. So Asia and Africa later became free because of, so World War I contributed to the end of European domination. Okay, so freedom in colonial countries and nationalities. So in that way, it is a contribution to freedom. Okay, so this is how peace is viewed. So that is the end of my lesson. Now you can ask many questions.
Sir, is war a precondition for peace?
Wow. But how do people become more intelligent? Do you know, as we are becoming more like Europe, Europe is advanced now. They're less nationalistic, more peace-loving, more environmentally conscious. They're not even giving more births, population decline. So in that way, Europe is still leading and we are primitive.
So India should go more wars, do more wars.
No, we need not go through that. We can learn from others. We didn't invent this technology. We borrowed many things from other countries, so we can borrow their sanity also. We don't have to go through their madness.
And bypass that sequence.
Exactly, bypass that. So European nationalism was there during those wars, but now nationalism is very, very low in Europe.
No, but the bunch of theories, they reject the Eurocentrism and they accept the Asian theory only. That means we need not to follow what Europeans have done it to achieve the peace.
So what should Asians do then? Definitely now we don't have to go through war. And now the deadly weapons, our policies are much more irresponsible. We have nuclear weapons. We don't have the luxury of going to war. We won't exist. Europe existed. We won't exist. Isn't it so? So they have gone through those war experiences and became much saner people. We didn't go through, so that we are in that patriotic phase. Okay, Gayatri.
Sir, something like nations also behave like individuals.
Who?
So when nations also behave like individuals.
Yes, that is true.
Nations also behave. So instead of imposing a humiliating treaty on Germany, had they shown generosity and walked that extra mile,
like Woodrow Wilson's points,
helping it.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So that is a lesson we should learn how to deal.
Exactly. That is one way. That is why people think Woodrow Wilson is far ahead of his times. If Keynes is angry with Woodrow Wilson, not because he's opposed to idealism, but Woodrow Wilson not really doing much to carry implement those 14 points. Okay, so these were the causes. There is no debate about World War II causes. One man is responsible. That was Hitler. So the world was about how to tame him and how to control him. But this is how World War I happened. Okay, any other question? On Monday, just 1 second. On Monday, we will do Russian Revolution. Okay. We will do World War II later. First we'll cover Russian Revolution, and next fascism, and then Chinese Revolution, and World War II in the end. After that, Cold War. Okay. So all these ideologies we will finish before World War II. Okay. Sunil?
But even now we haven't implemented the Wilson's ideal plan.
Yes, but United Nations came. That is one. That is an interesting. Let us see what all we implemented. UN is one, and trade barriers hugely down. That is another. And nationalities became very important. Another. Self-determination of nations, though he did not talk about it, but it became. And of course, secret treaties, they remain. But on the whole, world moved towards what Wilson proposed. Economic barriers down. He's right. That is why he's ahead of his times. So we should learn from him. Our current problem is America versus US. And how India is going to be involved in this. It's like that. So this is the present Thucydides trap. That is gone. Okay. So we will do Russian Revolution on Monday. Okay.
Sir, can we extend Thucydides trap to individuals?
I think so.
Especially on gender relations.
Yes. One is a challenger, one wants to rule. That is true. This trap is there everywhere. Caste. Yes. What Thucydides said was basically during that time, people were giving different reasons. Do you know, actually in this system, this is the book that I'm following, World Civilization. This is exceptionally well written. It's a very good book. Adler and Pauls. Okay. There's one more book I'm following. So I just give these reasons, those reasons. Nobody mentioned Thucydides trap. I read Thucydides trap when I was doing IR theory. So there he gave this example. So I felt that if you go by Thucydides trap, you can explain many points. Okay. So otherwise you will ask, why should Britain involve? Why should this country? Why this alliance? So we should identify first who are the major players. What is the primary conflict? And around the primary conflict, who want to fish in the troubled waters? So what is the overall game? So basically, Britain had an edge. It had a history, it had an edge. And Germany is a recent upstart. And it didn't want to be in that British-led order. Okay, but it didn't see that Britain's depth did not come just from submarines and navy, but it's a huge historical force for civilization, democracy, and many other things. Britain is a great country. Okay, after that, America. Of course, America came from Britain on the same people. Okay. So another thing is that finally to win a war, you may need to have a proper political system. You need to have a first economic system, and for a proper economic system, there should be a proper political system. So maybe China's problem is that China also has economic system, but it doesn't have a proper political system. Okay.
Sir, how? How?
Political system of democracy, tolerance, where the governments don't fear their own people. These are important. Okay. Britain has that, America has that. Where China fears its own people, Chinese leadership is insecure. So in the final outcome, It is not about how strong you feel, especially under conditions of unfreedom. If you're shouting slogans in favor of leader, it may not mean much. It is just shouting, because otherwise you will go to jail. Okay. So you will have to see, finally, military strength may come from mobilization and economic strength. So Germany was in that old mindset. Okay. So how nationalism is responsible? For the simple reason that Germany became a nation and that caused the war. If it was not a nation, then it wouldn't have caused the war. Okay. So we will examine Russian Revolution in the next class. Okay then. Is it okay? Bye.
Sir, Wilson.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sunil?
Sir, Wilson suggested nationalism, but that nationalism itself can be lethal.
Thank you. That's a good question. You can enhance freedom without mobilizing them for a wrong purpose. So giving Poland to Polish people, to that extent, it is good, because homogeneity contributes to better administration. Telugu people to have a Telugu state, Tamil people to have a Tamil state. But if Telugu people gang up and then say, no, we are this, that, and out to do something else, that is bad. So an administrative unit or a national unit on the basis of a nationality is not wrong. But as usual, that can be a ground for kind of things like this. That's true. But as the political structures move closer to people, you are enhancing freedom. Linguistic-based reorganization of states enhances freedom. Political boundaries on the basis of nationalities enhance the freedom. That's good. But if they gang up and are out to do damage to others, then that is bad. So we need to know what enhances freedom, and next, how that freedom is misused for wrong end later. Okay. So as you are pointing out, Europe has learned through war, destructive and devastating wars. But we need not go through. And moreover, we don't have that luxury to begin with. We have nuclear weapons. We can't have full-fledged wars now. We can only have extremely limited wars, as if we are participating in a video game, and then shout. But full-fledged wars with full of anger, we can't go anywhere. We are dead. War is now like a video game, nothing more than that, where both the players have to take every precaution not to do more than what is planned. It is like that. They are to be more concerned about how not to escalate, not how to damage. Because one misstep, the whole thing is in flames. It is like that. That is why we really don't have to think much about military technology and things like that. We have to see how wars became obsolete to begin with. And now how superior ideologies other than nationalism are possible, how people can live happily without this primitive versions of nationalism.
So recently there was a battle kind of situation between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So that time nuclear wasn't used. There was a normal war.
Which way?
In Caucasus region, Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Yeah, at many places, two countries are going for a war. Though they have nuclear weapons, they won't use.
Sir, but both of them got destroyed to a very large extent.
They will, but not to the extent that they could have. Anyone has a nuclear weapon, he's not using. So far they didn't use. It is not total war now, it limited wars. Nations are cautious not to damage more than this, like that. Previously it was not. So man's technology is much more than what his anger and sense of revenge allows. It is like that. So at World War I itself, they didn't see that much damage would happen.
Sir, if some leader like Hitler comes, some ruler like Hitler comes.
That's true. But that is true. But now with nuclear weapons, I mean, you don't need a Hitler. Some misstep will do.
They don't care. They don't have welfare of others in their mind.
That is true.
They don't.
You don't. That's true. You don't need a Hitler now. Much lesser person, lesser evil, but with little more careless will do. You don't need a Hitler. Hitler is willing to suicide. Hitler's decision is when he is going to suicide, but the destiny is clear. He will commit suicide one day.
As you say that with the contemporary trends like politics based on hatred, Hitlers are likely to come.
Yes,
Hitlers are likely to come.
But we don't need Hitlers now. Much lesser evils can do much more damage because of the technology. In fact, last time during Trump period, people feared how we don't know what Trump would have done because he lost the elections and what he would do. So Congress took care that what kind of instructions he might give to the army. So they were worried because he might think, if I am anyway going out, why go alone? So we don't know what happens. Fine, we'll meet on Monday.